Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is Bali Kehl, and this is your ethical hacking training and labs for ethical hacking. This lab is a pretty interesting one, and in this, I'll be talking about identifying vulnerabilities and doing information disclosure using how you see in search engines. And the tool which I'll be using is SiteDigger. And SiteDigger uses Google Hacking Database, so I'll be getting introduced to Google Hacking Database also. First thing, let's go to Google, type in SiteDigger download, and you'll basically end up at the McAfee site because SiteDigger is part of McAfee free tools. And here you can see what and how SiteDigger is and what version is there. It was released back in 2009. It's an older tool, I would say, and it uses has a dependency on .NET Framework version 3.5, right? So let's read a little bit about the tool. So SiteDigger searches your Google cache to look for vulnerabilities, errors, configuration issues, and proprietary information, and also interesting security nuggets on a particular website which you are looking or digging around for, right? So what's new in SiteDigger 3.0? Well, it's a pretty old tool, but still it does not require an API key. There's improved interface, signature update, and result pages. It supports proxy and Tor. That's pretty good, so that you can use it for education purposes and ethically use it. Of course, you don't want to be part of something unethical when it comes down to using any of these tools which I'm teaching you. All right. Also, you can there are other things about which are new about it. You can go read through it and how to use SiteDigger. You select a signature from the tree, and I'll show you with the UI that how the signature thing works, right? So this tool is already downloaded up here, SiteDigger 3.0 MSI. You fire it up. It says Foundstone. Who's watching you back is like a interesting, I would say, thing out there, because you do want to know who's coming down, who's watching you guys, watching your website, watching your client's website as a penetration tester, right? Just go through the visit. I'm just keeping it to the default settings which it comes with, so that you don't need to change much around. That way you stick to it, and of course always download it on a VM, on a virtual machine. Do have a virtual machine like a VMware or a VirtualBox, and install Windows on it. Since this is a Windows only client, don't install it on your main machine, because so many tools I've gone through, it'll be a chaos on your machine, and you'll see some performance issues also, depending upon how much you're using them. The one that you really like, you can of course always use them through your VM, right? So once you install the tool, it creates a shortcut. You launch from this shortcut, and this is the UI of the tool. On the left hand side, you can see the Google Hacking Database, and it has all the different sub headings, and it has it's basically 1,467 queries saved down here from Google Hacking. At the time, it's basically Google Hacking Database is to let you know keeps on getting updated, but this tool is not active in terms of it will not get all the latest things, right? So here you can see the different categories. One is advisories and vulnerabilities, error messages, file containing juicy info, file containing password, username, photos, miscellaneous, page containing login. It has other information like sensitive online shopping, sensitive directories, various online devices, vulnerability files, vulnerability servers, and web server detection. So it does FSDB and it does GHDB, that is Google Hacking Database. All right. So now, how to use this tool is the first thing. So you got to first go in and click on one of these options. That what are the different queries which are part of it, and which query do you want to use is what you can select. You can fine tune to the core level or to the smallest level, that is the query level. All right. We're gonna basically go and click. Once you click, it basically it's color coded. It changes to the ones which you've selected. So you are in Google Hacking Database, and you're doing the first query down here. So we're going to choose a website which I think is already secure, and it's a bank website. It's always good to go to websites, and bank websites are normally secured up. And this bank website is called Basic Bank Limited. It's a bank based in Bangladesh. So we're just going to run a scan on it. We're not trying to do anything wrong here, not harming any of the processes and procedures. This is just the information gathering which we are doing using our web search engine. So all these queries are readily available with Google. We are not trying to like hack into a system and trying to get any wrongdoing or getting any information which we are not supposed to be getting, right? We are just basically running a Google query using a tool called SiteDigger, and it basically gets everything in one place for you, right? And it basically goes through, if you look at all the steps which it has, it tells you like, all the different queries which it has. It's going to go through 215 queries, so it's going to them one by one. And this is you can see like what the progress is in the left window where it says queries scanned, and once it finds a result, then it'll start putting it in the below window, which is the results window, right? And that is basically the vulnerabilities which you think are associated, which we think are associated at that level for that particular site. And that way you come to know that if there's any issues out of this 215 listed for the first choice which we did, that was the vulnerabilities part of it, right? So now it's basically chugging through. It's trying to get a good sense of all the different queries which is there. It's trying to launch those queries against that domain which you have specified in the site and domain part on top, right? And once it's done that, it'll give us the result set back, right? And as a penetration tester, I would always recommend that you guys accumulate your results, log it, put it in a proper place, document it, and so you can also have steps on how you discovered it. What tools did you use? Did you use SiteDigger? Did you go directly to GHD, Google Hacking Database, DHDB, or what did you do at that time, right? So now you see that we have gone through 185. It's 215 queries. So this count will go to 215 queries, and it's in URL queries, I would say, and it's trying to find out the vulnerability which you're looking for a website, and depending on each query, it's basically going and searching for that vulnerability itself, right? Pretty interesting tool. Again, information gathering is part of your security process when it comes down to your open source intelligence gathering part, right? So we have seen that it's gone through, and we can find anything. So let's try to do another query, and in this case we'll say login portals. If there are any login portals associated with this particular bank site, right? So for advisories and vulnerabilities, it was pretty clean. It came out pretty clean. It's a bank site. I would not expect less, right? And then also another thing is, I will just show you the bank site. This basicbanklimited.com, and this is basically serving people for progress, and state's own bank, and it's basically in Bangladesh. So just to let you know, it is a valid site. It is nothing. It is a site which is out there, and it's a secure site. And so we did advisory. We did the pages containing login portals. So this also will go in and do all the 212 different vulnerabilities and queries which are there, and trying to find those for us, and see like if a vulnerability has an open gate, right? And these vulnerabilities are only the vulnerabilities which are publicly available. So these are not the vulnerabilities which you would find out differently. We're not going through the firewall. We're not going through the internals of the site. We're only basically scanning for a domain name or a site domain name against the Google database. That's all. And this is a publicly available information for that matter, because Google has indexed it. Google has kept it publicly available for any and everybody to go and look at that information. Now the queries which look up at that information, or the queries, the help which we're taking is of the Google Hacking Database right here, and which basically lets us simulate a lot of the results which we want to get to And of course, you as a newbie, or even as an intermediate to advanced level person who's learning about ethical hacking, should understand the value of these tools, respect the kind of information which it's getting, only use it for educational purposes. And if you are doing some kind of a reconnaissance or some kind of information gathering at your job, make sure your managers know about it, and the people who you're running this query against know about it, especially when you're trying to infiltrate into a network or something like that, right? Here you can see we have already gone through a bunch of results. It'll go to 232, I think so. Already done 178, not found a single vulnerability, which is a pretty good thing. And this is a very common thing. A lot of sites these days are aware of cyber threats and issues which are there, especially from sites like or vulnerability databases which Google Hacking Database has. So they kind of protect themselves, right? They always keep a lookout, right? So this is a good way for you to practice and get to know this tool, to the SiteDigger itself. The SiteDigger, again, very simple UI, very intuitive UI, lets you get down to a particular issue, a website has very clearly, right? And so let's do juicy info, password, and let's do three, and then scan for these three. So let's see if something comes back, right? Again, it's going to go through a lot of results right now, and you got to be patient. So one thing which you need to know is, as a security analyst and a penetration tester, the first trait which you need to have is patience, because you have to circumvent always the path which a bad guy will take. And bad guys have patience, and sometimes years and decades. They just sit patiently for the right moment, So that is what you are looking for as a trait in a penetration tester, in a security analyst, in an ethical hacker who is performing certain similar actions. That patience pays off in this field. Don't expect results to happen right away. All right. So So knowing tools, understanding tools is also a good trait, right? So now let's go on Google and let's type in GHDB. So that is the hacking database which our tool is using, right? So let's go to Google Hacking Database. It's online, and it's a search engine for all the different exploits. So if you look, that this is the menu which you were seeing in the tool, the SiteDigger tool also, which basically gives you all the categories where these queries are sitting, right? So this, as I said, the tool is not automatically updated. So any new vulnerabilities which are queries which are there, they will start showing up on this tool itself, or will have more success or more better results set when you go directly to the tool, right? So now let's do the category as juicy info and basicbank.com, limited.com, and then just try to do a search. If we get something from online, from searching against the Google Hacking Database, since it's more updated, right? And it looks like nothing is there. Pretty secure website. You can change the categories, and let's try the same thing with a couple of other things. Let's do it with advisories and vulnerabilities, which we did already in the Basic Bank Limited and got back nothing, right? Looks like there's nothing down here for this search too. Let's switch it to page containing login portals. That's the ones which we already did in the tool. I'm just trying to do a compare, and the tool is pretty accurate. You're not getting back any vulnerabilities, from the search queries which you're trying to do, even with the tool or with the latest Google Hacking Database results, right? So that this gives you a good double check, I would say, that hey, the tool is pretty solid, and this website has kind of secured itself and made sure that it is a banking website, and it doesn't need to have all these extra exposures and vulnerabilities, right? So sensitive directories, sometimes people miss out on that. Let's see what comes back on that one. Well, nothing. They have a good security person taking care of their needs, I would say, and which is a pretty positive thing for a company to have. All right. So Google Hacking Database is the way to go. Also, going on the website gives you gives you a good idea, right? So so this website is secure to a point where it is not part of the Google database, right? So this is only pertaining to the public domain stuff, right? So the website, the you could always hack through it as a penetration tester. That's what you're getting paid for, right? So, but this is just the information gathering through your public medium, public sources. That is there anything publicly available on a website? And this does not actually this. So I can give them 1 point for this, but like as a penetration tester, this is just a scratch. This is the starting point. You're just trying to begin, trying to like do penetration testing on a particular website and finding the issues, right? So now let's do our Microsoft.com vulnerabilities. They keep on coming out with something or the other all the time. So the scanning is still going on here, looks like. Let's switch back to the browser. I think so. It got completed. 320. It's close. Yeah. So yeah. So here you can see that Microsoft has got like 4 result matches. So it got a standard JIT vulnerability file which it found on the Microsoft.com. It's got the recent site IIS work vulnerability, and you open one, and it will basically give you all the queries, the Google search query, which basically found that vulnerability. Looks like the domain is somebody else's domain, right? uva.eec and so forth. But that's what it is, right? So it basically gives you those vulnerabilities for that particular site, and you can find the Google results for that. Like these particular queries in the news. It could be Max.com, wherever it's been mentioned, right? And associated with the vulnerabilities which Google Hacking Database thinks are critical for that particular website, and they have listed them out, right? So there's IIS works. There's the ASP file man on this particular site, and there is a login page which actually popped up. I mean, default is admin. I mean, I would not recommend you guys to play with it, but just for the purpose of it, you can do the first thing which you do for these kind of scenarios is you can try blanks and try like admin and blank, and so those are like the first thing which I taught you in the penetration testing class also, right? And this is just hit and trial stuff which I'm just refreshing a memory. I don't want you to hack into or log into any of those websites. That's my intent. I want you to always practice ethical ways of getting to your solution, or to mining for any kind of data for that matter, right? So let's do shopping information on Amazon, since Amazon has got a pretty big shopping part associated with it, with the cart and everything. So let's type in Amazon.com for shopping. So let's change the search criteria to juicy info for Amazon. Let's see if Amazon gives something back to us there. Oh, there you go. There was a single hit. Woohoo! All right, let's see what that is. I would not have expected this back, but hey, you know what? Every website has its own thing. So now you got like bunch of stuff coming back when it comes down to juicy info for that particular site. Yeah. So this is something which you should be aware of. There is a lot of information which you can get to, but like how you get to that, and what is the right way to search for it. In this, we are using the exploit database. That is the database which is also has the GHDB database, right? And it gives you like the target.com, the extension XML. So it gives you all the exploits right then and there, and this kind of helps you target down on the issues which is happening with your target systems which are vulnerable. So here you can also actually get to the robots.txt file, and if you saw there's AskWell, you can get to the return for that. But let's look at the robots.txt file. So this is the file which basically tells you that what is allowed, what is not allowed for the robots to crawl, for indexers to crawl, and it's a pretty cool file. Every website should have it, so that you can deny path to sensitive areas in your website. And though you have to list it out in the robots.txt file, and as I just showed you, anybody can get to it and see that you have restricted these areas, and they could kind of attack on those areas. So it's always important that whenever you're working with any kind of and tools which basically using GHDB, you make sure that you restrict your files better in a better way. So here, vulnerabilities of IIS. You can also see that. I mean, you can basically go in and play around with this database. And I think so. I had a class on Google Hacking Database and Google itself, and this is like one step further in conjunction with how you can search. These categories are pretty handy, I would say. So you need to like understand that all of these categories one by one, search on them. So, I mean, Microsoft.com and Amazon.com did give us some hits, and you can search on these strings rather than doing search on domains, and then and see if something returns back for that matter, right? Again, I was mentioning that to you earlier. When something returns back, you can always dig into it. Just right click, and I'll just open a new tab. It's always easy to go back and forth that way. But you can always right click, open new tab, and then while the tabs are loading, you can. I'm just opening a few more so that I can get to more information. And of course, the state of the tab. So Surge Mail, the first one, that's the query. Click on it, it fires up, Google, and so here you go. So you got login pages here for Surge Mail, and there is a hotel which basically gives you usernames, user login pages for it, and so forth, right? So you can go in and log in here. So you can play around with it. I won't recommend that you guys do it. I'm just, as I said, I'm just giving it like default information, and they looks like they're pretty secure. They're trying to cut me out. Then also you can do some things from another website called MacTech. The thing is, goal out here is you have different ways of how to do penetration testing, and make sure that you're logging everything what you're doing is signed up for, not something which you're winging it and you just want to learn at that time. So those things are also pretty critical. All right. So yeah, so remember to understand and to go through all the critical parts when you're doing GHDB. Also, another thing is you want to make sure that you're doing hit and trial is a very important thing when it comes to information gathering. You need to understand what all public domains you're searching around, and what all data you are actually getting back at that particular time. And public search is very powerful. Just to let you know, guys, don't misuse the powers, right? As a penetration tester, you can be in trouble also. Like here, there's a good way to see that you're being monitored by a lot of people. And if you look at this warning which came back, is this website is protected by attack scanner, must be a WordPress thing, and you have been warned. So that means people are logging your behaviors, right? And if you're trying to get to information which you're not supposed to get to, or running a query which Google has given you, doesn't mean that it is good to kind of follow it blindly without knowing what exactly you are getting into. So understand the queries, understand what you're trying to search for, right? So let's search for social27.com and check out one of the categories down here and see if we find so many vulnerabilities down there. This is just a sanity check. You should keep on doing it for your website, if you own one, or for a domain or a company's domain, and suggest if you find any kind of open vulnerabilities, and search on those vulnerabilities if you're new to it, and see if there's any fixes for it in terms of what are the recommendations from the communities, from the Google Hacking Database communities and other online communities out there, so you can secure that website itself, right? So this is a lab about SiteDigger which we just went over. I taught you how to ethically go in and get all the information when it comes down to getting public information. We went through Google Hacking Database, different categories of Google Hacking Database, and then also taught you what to do, what not to do, because as a security analyst, you need to know both parts of the coin, right? So great. I think so. Lab 14 concludes by this, and I always encourage you to play with the tool which I show you. Again, this is a Windows only tool, so you can download it on Windows itself and play with it. All right. Thanks for joining me in this lab. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did presenting it to you, and I will see you in the next lab. Okay. Bye bye.